In this video, I'll be talking about cleaning a palette of oil paint. Not so much a wet palette that you've just finished using, but a dirty palette that you walked away from several days ago and which has now almost completely dried. It's worth mentioning that although you may have seen some of your artistic heroes build up small mountains of dead paint on their palettes, doing so only reduces the amount of space available for mixing paint. It doesn't mean you're a good painter. Of course, in real life, I almost never let this happen, but here's a mess that I've let sit for several days. My palette surface is 1/4 inch glass that has been cut to fit my French Mistress folding box, which in the studio is always open and sits on a rolling cabinet. Let me cover this with a drawing board for just a moment. If this paint were wet, it might be easy to scrape it clean with a large palette knife or a thin metal spreading tool from the hardware store. But these don't really have a fine enough edge to get under that dried paint. A sharp blade is needed. Certainly there are going to be options, but in general I use single-edge razor blades because they are inexpensive and disposable. I usually buy these in packs of 100 or more, but they also come in small dispensers, which are handy for traveling. The ones in large packs will come individually wrapped with thin cardboard. It is possible to hold these blades with just your fingers. And there are other holders out there that will give you a little more of a handle, but I like to get my fingers a little further away from both the cutting edge and the messy paint. For years, I used a retractable blade holder like this because it seemed like it would be a bit safer to store. But over time, I realized that I would always pull paint back into the works, eventually making it hard to expose the blade or to change it. In fact, when I went looking for one of these to show you, I found that I had thrown them all away. I found this type at a discount hardware store. It has a nice handle and changing blades is very straightforward. This new one came with one blade in a reversed position. Fitting a new blade involves removing the cap piece with a screwdriver, aligning the blade notches with the pins on the base, and then replacing the cap piece snugly. Although this takes a few moments, the simplicity of the attachment means that it can be done even if the tool becomes caked with paint. Admittedly, you have to take care where you put down a naked blade like this, but in a household without young children, I've managed all right. There are some other clever ideas for holders. I haven't made use of this one yet, but it seems like a good effort to combine a simple blade holder with a substantial blade guard. Open or closed, it locks into position. But let me show you the tool that is my current favorite. Here it is, dirty. It uses the same cap and screw attachment, but the holder is at the end of a long rod with a substantial handle. The handle cap unscrews to a blade storage compartment. I bought my first one of these as part of an inexpensive scraper pack from the discount store, and it's held up well. The real advantage of this design is that it allows the user to exert downward pressure with one hand while guiding the tool with the other hand. This requires much less effort than using one of the smaller holders. Here's my holder with the new blade ready to go. I've put on some nitrile gloves. I buy these in large quantities, especially as I wear one on my off hand while painting. Before I use the razor, I'll lift off as many big globs of paint as I can with the palette knife. Some of these might still have wet paint, and I don't want them piling up on my blade. A sharp blade in this long holder does its work quickly. You may want to experiment with what angle works best, and you may even flip over the tool sometimes. But don't expect this blade to last very long. Cutting through hard paint can dull it quite quickly, and you will likely need a fresh one after each hard cleanup. One trick, if the dried paint is very thick or contains a drying medium, is to let a solvent-soaked paper towel sit on it for a few minutes before scraping. After I have my piles of scrapings, I can shuttle them off directly into a waste can thanks to my drop front pallet box. I change my blades often. In my studio, I have a designated metal box for old blades, but in almost any other situation, I will wrap up used blades in heavy tape before I even think about putting them into a garbage bin. Then it's time to give the glass a good wipe down with solvent. I don't want any loose bits of dead paint finding their way into mixtures during my next painting session. While I have the gloves on, it's a good time to drain off dirty solvent and give my can a good scrub on the inside. With fresh solvent sealed up in the can, I'm all set for next time. I hope that was helpful. Take care.